And you can start the meeting.
Want to call the meeting, the Wood Village City Hall, Wood Village City Council meeting to order April 23rd, 2024 at 6 p.m. And thank you, guests, for being here. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Flag is at the back of the building. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Any citizen comments? Becky? No. And we will read the our land acknowledgement statement now.
The Chinookan people, known as the Clackamas and Cascade, are indigenous people of the land now inhabited by the city of Wood Village and others around and other areas of the Columbia River. The village of Nechakli was located near today's Blue Lake Park. Ancestral life of these people included a seasonal round of resource gatherers and stewardship from the Wapato fields and fishing areas of the Columbia River to the cedars and huckleberry gathering areas of the High Cascade. Introduced disease from early settlers dramatically reduced the number of these people. They signed the Willamette Valley Treaty of 1855 with the United States government and were forcefully removed to the Grand Ronde Indian Reservation. We thank the descendants of these tribes for being the original steward and protectors of these lands since immemorial. We also acknowledge the systemic policy and genocide, relocation, and assimilation that still impacts many indigenous Native American families today. We are honored to be collective work of many Native nations, leaders, and families who are demonstrating resilience, resistance, revitalization, healing, creativity. We are honored to be guests upon these lands.
Thank you. Tonight, we're honored to have representatives from the Vietnamese American Association here. And we will be reading a proclamation into the record tonight. And I've asked Councilor Tan if she would read that.
All right. Proclaiming April 30th Vietnamese American Remembrance Day. Whereas Vietnamese refugees have proudly resided in the city of Wood Village, state of Oregon, since the conclusion of the Vietnam War on April 30th, 1975. And whereas Vietnamese Americans have put forth their full toiling energy building the city of Wood Village, state of Oregon, in the multitude of prominent areas, including industry, economy, culture, education, and military service. And whereas Vietnamese Americans counted on the state of Oregon, USA, as being their second heart, mind, and family homeland. And whereas every year Vietnamese Americans observe Remembrance Day on April 30th to solemnly honor the 58,000 American soldiers and more than 300,000 South Vietnamese soldiers who sacrificed their lives in the line of duty for freedom and democracy in South Vietnam from 1955 to 1975.
Thank you, Councilor Tan. Now, therefore, I, John C. Minor, the mayor of Wood Village, hereby proclaim April 30th, 2024 to be recognized as April 30th Vietnamese American Remembrance Day. I resolutely encourage all to join in the reverent recognition of this cultural heritage observation. Mayor John C. Minor. I will certainly open the floor if you would like to make any comments. And I know I've just signed two proclamations that you have in your hand. And maybe before that, I would say that there are, Wood Village was a city built right before World War II. We've had veterans here. My father was a veteran of World War II. I had a brother that served in the United States Army in Vietnam. I've had friends that served in the military in Vietnam and duties there. So this is an important proclamation because it was a partnership. And as you state in this document, 300,000 South Vietnamese soldiers, men and women, died in that war. We have a veterans garden out in front. And when we built the city hall, we intended to recognize veterans. So when you leave tonight, if you, on the right-hand side of the entrance there, you'll see a plaque. And further, you'll see a stone monument there with a plaque on it. And that's our veterans garden. So we do certainly honor veterans, and this particular remembrance means something to the city of Wood Village too. So thank you. This is our second year of participating in this. So if you have any other words, certainly feel free to come up and share some of those.
And the city councilors, my name is Thao Từ. I am president of the Vietnamese community of Oregon. Today, I'm so happy to be on behalf of the board of the Vietnamese community of Oregon to receive the proclamation recognizing the Vietnamese American Remembrance Day. On that day, we will honor 58,000 US soldiers that include 810 children that had originally coming from the state of Oregon, and also 300,000 South Vietnamese soldiers who died on the line of duty to defend for freedom and democracy in South Vietnam. We thank you so much for signing the proclamation, and this is the second time you have done for us. Last year, you signed the proclamation to recognize the Vietnamese heritage and freedom flag. I come from the family that had my father who served in the South Vietnamese army. And Mr. Hào, he served in the army and he became the POW after the Vietnam War. And Miss Han also had her father serve in the official office. And after the war, he spent 14 years in North Vietnam, in the POW camp in North Vietnam. And before my first son, he became the second lieutenant in the U.S. Air Force.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. We are so happy about that. We are here and we want to contribute our energy to build the city of Portland, the city of Wood Village, and the entire country to make everything better. So this is our dream.
Thank you. And sir, thank you for your service in the war with the South Vietnamese Army, and for your father who served. Council, any other comments that you'd like to share?
I think this is just, testimony that in Wood Village, we want these partnerships, and we are just excited that you guys continue to allow us this opportunity to celebrate this with you all.
Yeah. You do have my email. You do have our Vietnamese community of Oregon email. Please feel free to share any activity that related to some public, so we can come and join with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you once again for being here. We always like to share this day with you.
Thank you very much for accepting the partnership with us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On behalf of the Vietnamese Community Board, I want to present this thank you certificate to the mayor and the city of Wood Village, so we can have.
Thank you. Thank you. We find that, and Okay, all right. Good night. Good night. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Any questions on the consent agenda? Is there a motion to approve?
I motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar? Say aye. Aye. We'll just to let you know, we do have one member gone today, but we still have a quorum. So we'll work through this and we can actually take action here tonight if necessary. Next item on the agenda is a presentation from TriMet Safety and Security, and this must be Andrew Wilson. Oh, are you? You're,
Oh, Andrew.
how do you spell that last name? Philin?
Yeah,
Thank you for being here.
thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Pat Williams. I am the Security and Emergency Management Director for TriMet. And Andrew is my boss. He's the executive. Now, I noticed that Amparo is online, but I don't know if she's presenting anything. Okay, and
I am not. I am not. Thank you, Pat. I
Okay.
am not presenting. I'm
The
just
voice
in the
from above.
background.
Okay. Well, good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for having us. Again, Pat Williams, Director of Security and Emergency Management for TriMet. I oversee all the security operations for the organization throughout the entire service district, 533 miles. I've been employed by TriMet for the last 5 years, so I've been intimately involved in a lot of the programs that I'm going to be talking about tonight that we have developed over the last couple of years. A lot of these programs started under the Reimagine Public Safety Initiative, approximately 2020. And so we've done a lot of work. And one of the things we're trying to do is assure our customers and our staff that it is a safe system to ride on to try and bring folks back downtown. So I'll start by going through some of the programs that we have built up. We have, as I said, I oversee the security operations. I've got 2 security contracts that operate for TriMet. Under one of them are transit security officers, and we've built that program up to 160. We just signed a new contract, which was authorized by our board 2 weeks ago to add another 80 officers to the contract. So we're looking at building immediately on that contract to increase up to 240. We also have what we call customer safety supervisors. Those were formerly fare inspectors. We had 3 of them back in 2019. We built up to 51 now. And what those folks do is we've renamed them and we've given them a different role. They are actually enforcing code of conduct out on the system, but they also are helping with vulnerable population and service disruption. So they're kind of the eyes and ears for safety out on the system, and they will transition into a different when we have service disruptions. We've also started a new program called with customer safety officers. Those are a secondary security contract that we have that help our code enforcement team. When our safety office supervisors are out enforcing code, we don't have a lot of, sometimes we have less compliant folks, and so we need to have a security presence with them. And what we do is they just provide the presence and help folks along if they don't want to going on. One of the things I'm most proud about is something we call the safety response team. This is an outreach program that we've built into our system. We started it after the Reimagine Public Safety Initiative. We've built it up. I think these numbers are a little old. We're right at approximately 70, and we're looking to increase significantly. If you've ever ridden TriMet in the last 2.5 years, you will have seen these folks out there. They're in blue uniforms, but they have a reflective vest that says Safety Response Team. They carry backpacks. Inside that backpack, they have water. They have some very basic staples, granola bars, space blankets, socks, feminine hygiene products. And so when we run into vulnerable population on our system, they can help provide some basic staples to them. But more importantly, in this group of people, we make referrals to social service agencies. So of this group, we have approximately half of them with what we call lived experience, folks that have experienced homelessness themselves, mental health issues, substance abuse. And we also have folks that have higher education all the way up to including doctorate degrees and master's degrees, multiple people with master's degrees with a lot of experience in social service outreach. So these folks, and I'll show you some stats here in a few minutes, but they're on the system presence every day. And then we have transit police. I retired from law enforcement back in years ago. In 2018-19, we had approximately 65 police officers out on the system. We're down to right now and 20. So we're significantly reduced. But what we've been able to do is fill the gap with a lot of the security presence.
Before you go on there.
Yeah.
Sworn police officers, is that is that the 21 that you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And TriMet did have a pretty robust, some years ago, probably when you were,
Correct.
before you retired.
Yeah,
It was
before-
shared, from Gresham, Portland.
Gresham, that's where I had worked and so back when TriMet was really when the transit police was at its peak, we had upwards of 16 agencies involved. And it was led by the Portland Police Bureau in the leadership capacity. I was one of the lieutenants before I retired in that leadership team. Now we have transitioned over to Multnomah County Sheriff's Office in the leadership role. And so we have 4 agencies that participate, but we're looking at increasing every week. We're having more and more discussions. And I think agencies are starting to rebuild back up and entertaining the idea of coming back into the transit agency.
If I remember right, an officer from Gresham would go and that'd be their duty station,
Yeah.
so to speak, for a period of time.
Yeah, we had at one point Gresham had, I think, 7 officers, 2 sergeants, at least 1, if not 2, and also a lieutenant.
Yeah.
So they had built up quite a bit. So some
Thank
of the things we've done in the last 2 years, we've increased the security for our operators. And what we've installed, if you see on the photo here, is we've put in these panels, and that protects the officer or the operators from, being attacked, things thrown at them, spit at them. We've also increased these bus monitors. So when you get on a bus, you actually see the camera view from inside the bus. That's been a big plus for us because people realize, okay, they're being monitored. And it's no different than walking into Fred Meyer's or a 7-Eleven nowadays.
Is that on all of the buses?
That is on all the buses. Yes, correct. So, and it gives a rotating view of all the cameras that we have on the system. So one of the things, and I won't get down into the weeds of the calls for service, but what we are seeing is a steady decline in calls for police service on the system. And I'm hopeful to say that is due to the increased presence we have provided through security and our outreach teams. So you can see steadily we're seeing a decrease down to 38% of last year.
And that camera system there, has that been used here in some of the recent court cases when there's been assaults?
Yes, we have got a very robust camera system. We have upgraded significantly. All of our cameras are digital now. Most of the buses, all of the buses are downloadable. So when they pull into a yard, they will download the video from the day if it's scheduled. Otherwise, it overwrites on
Well, I'm
them.
sure that helps when you're in court and
Yeah, it
trying to
helps
get
significantly.
convictions.
Yeah, and we're working on systems now for the rails, for the trains to, when they come into the yard as well, can be downloadable. We're also seeing a steady decrease in assaults on our operators and threats. And so again, I won't go into the numbers, but we're seeing a decline. Again, we can attribute that to our security presence. And the same thing for reported crimes on the buses versus the trains. We have these little dips and things like that come, but generally speaking, we're seeing a significant decrease over the last couple of years, again, attributed to our presence. And again, this is for buses. So back to our safety response team, I talked about the numbers. This is a good snapshot of what we do. We provide a lot of assistance. We do a lot of things that I can honestly say is really low-level law enforcement stuff that police officers often were doing. One of the things we learned during the Reimagine Public Safety Initiative, we had surveyed tens of thousands, and Amparo, who's on the call here, we reached out to tens of thousands of our customers and staff to hear what they had to say. And one of the things that they did say was, we need police, but we need police doing police work. We want to see a presence. We want to see other folks out there that can help. So this really filled the void of what we need out there. So again, we're almost at 70 of these folks that are out on the system. These are the uniforms that they wear. They're very visible. You'll see them at a lot of our transit centers when you're driving by. So assisting passengers, they help with disruptions, intoxicated persons, medical, just lots of medical referrals, non-destination passengers. This is something that's NDR, non-destination riders, is a term that's coined by the American Public Transportation Association. We deal with this quite a bit at the end of the night, where we have people that want to ride the system all day long. And so they're helping to get them to shelters earlier before they make it to the outskirts of town to get referral services. Then again, social services, we'll see in suicidal individuals, and then again, welfare checks. These folks are making tens of thousands of referrals a year for us. Been an overwhelming success. And one of the things that's new that just started up now is we've created a security operations center. So our bus and rail system that oversees operations for bus and rail no longer has to deal with our security operations issues. So we've staffed that now with security dispatchers, and we're in the process of building out this whole thing. And we've actually procured, we just got board approval 2 weeks ago for the procurement of new software to help us better track our statistics. So think of a very low level non-urgency 911 center for the transportation agency. And then something that's coming in starting this summer is we're looking at blue light phones. And so you see in this photo here, this is a mock of what we're going to be installing, but these are going to go on a lot of our platforms. And starting near the gateway area towards downtown, a lot of our platforms downtown are on city sidewalks, so they're not going to be on those actual platforms. This is an example of 82nd Avenue, where it's actually a dedicated platform. What this will give a customer the ability to do is just go have a direct interaction with somebody in our security operations center that can get them help if needed. The other things we're looking at is access control. We started an elevator pilot project last summer, which is starting to expand out. So for folks that want to get in our elevators and do nefarious things, you have to actually have a hop card, which you can use on the bus and rail system to tap. You don't even have to have money on it. You just have to have the card to tap to actually use the elevator. So that has helped us significantly because it's reduced in our elevators being down due to biohazards and other issues. And then again, we're building back our transit police division. We've got handshake agreements with a number of agencies that are starting to come back to help us fill that.
Is that
void.
blue light phone that you push a button and there's a speaker like?
Yeah.
Deal? Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So you see these at a lot of college campuses. You see them in parking garages. And so that's what we're going to put on our platforms.
You mentioned it was going to be gateway to downtown. Is that just initially, and then is
Initially, yeah,
there, so
correct.
there's an idea to expand it in
Correct.
areas that are
Yeah.
more in need of them?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That service then, if it's if it needs to be an urgent police response, would that person then on that?
Yeah,
end
it can be.
would
That will
dispatch
go
it?
to our security operations center who would then call the police. Most people have cell phones now, and so we rely on them to call.
Yeah.
But if it's in a situation where somebody doesn't have access to call, of course, we can make that call for them.
Okay.
That's it. So I'm here to entertain any other questions for you.
I have a question, going back to how you've increased security.
Yes.
And how do you determine in what areas are you're deploying these officers?
that's a
and at
great-
different levels as
That's a
well?
great question. One of the things we have to rely on are the law enforcement statistics and our security statistics. One of the reasons we went out for procurement with the new software is to get good, valid data to going on our system. A lot of times people don't call TriMet when they want to report a crime. They call the police, but in today's environment, a lot of people don't call the police. They get put on hold for long periods of time. So they may get frustrated. So one of the things we're going to be able to do with our software is to track incidents on the system. And there's going to be a number, I won't get into the weeds of this, but there'll be a number of ways that we can track. But as it is right now, when we have locations where we have lots of calls for service, operator assaults, or complaints from the customer, that's where we focus our team. And one of the things I'm doing with the security deployment is after we increase this new contract, we're going to have an independent assessment of our system to really give us a better view of how are we doing. Have somebody else take a fresh set of eyes to it.
And then just looking at the data, and I can see that the amount of calls have dropped. Is that in correlation with the amount of more individuals out patrolling?
I think it'd be very naive to say that that's the only reason why, but I think that's the highest reason why that is dropped. I think people are feeling more secure. One of the things I've said since I took this position is you shouldn't drive down Burnside without passing 3 platforms and not see somebody from TriMet on a platform, whether that be a security professional, a customer safety supervisor, a safety response team, one of our facilities workers or cleaners, or a police officer. And so we've been able to achieve that. I can't guarantee that you're going to see it every time, but we have increased our high visibility presence significantly. And we're hearing from our customers and our staff that it's making a difference.
I mean, I think it makes a difference just as a safety blanket,
Yeah.
for those that are at riders or, myself having kids. How would I know that they're safe getting on TriMet?
Yeah,
It's not
and-
like what it used to be when I
No,
was
it's
in
not.
high
And
school,
in
so.
today's world's not the same as it used to be. And that's one of the things in the city of Portland, a lot of the students ride the system
Mhm.
as their school bus. And so we have to rely that it's safe for our youth.
Right.
And with that, we're trying to get as many folks out on the system to have eyes and ears of what is going on. And we're hearing that significantly from our customers and staff.
Thank you.
I just want to, so I was a part of that Reimagine committee in
I
2020.
recognize you.
So, a lot of this, like he mentioned, are, just the presence of individuals that, that folks can quote unquote feel non-threatened. And so having those safety responders not be sworn officers sometimes can help de-escalate a lot of that, just that level and things of that nature. So that was a big, focus area in that group that we wanted to kind of have TriMet focus on, and just seeing the results of that have shown fruit of just those discussions in that time. So.
One of the things I didn't cover is we've increased a lot of our training for staff. And so we've provided de-escalation training. We've have levels of de-escalation training for our security staff, our law enforcement staff, and then we've opened it up for the agency. A lot of our platform cleaners have benefited from that. Folks that are out on the system late at night when we have non-revenue service, when we have no service, they're encountering folks on the street. So the de-escalation training has helped them significantly. We've also included a number of trainings for our leadership. To help them deal with some of the challenges of what our staff are seeing every day. And so that's helped us significantly. And we're reaching out across the agency to open this up for training agency wide. And we've had great success so far.
So going back to the response individuals that have like all the screens, I don't remember what the role is. Now, are they kind of like the eagle eye of TriMet, or are they responding to incidents that have already occurred?
Are these the safety response team?
Is a dispatch, yeah,
The security operation.
yeah.
Yeah, so what they are is when our bus operations, rail operations or security staff or any staff call, they're not going to call directly to our operations control center, which just handles the operations of bus and rail system. If they have a security incident, they will call directly to a security dispatcher who can triage the problem. If it's a low level problem, that's where we're going to be able to handle it. We're going to be able to dispatch security that has traditionally not been dispatched throughout the system. So we're going to have that capability. We're going to be able to identify where is security at, where to get the best resource to the problem right away. If it's an urgent matter, they can refer it right to 911.
And that would be the security officers connecting to dispatch first.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Not the public.
Not the public, no, but we have instituted a forward-facing program called eLerts that's on our system. If you go to TriMet.org, there's a little badge in the corner of there. You can click on that and you can actually fill in a list of things. It's an app that opens up for you and you can report a non-urgent incident right there. You can actually take a picture of it and let us know. That's really big for biohazards and vandalism and things that are just unsafe that need to be repaired.
Is that displayed in like the areas?
Yeah, it's all over the website and it's, if you go to TriMet.org, you can see that.
So I mean, as for the public, so they
Yeah,
know
that is for the public to see. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And we're looking at a lot of other things we just haven't implemented yet, but we've got a lot of things, other things we're working on to be forward facing.
How are you doing recruiting for some of these positions that are they're
Much
not-
better now.
Excuse me?
Much better now.
Okay.
Yes. We've had to give some pay raises.
Yeah.
But that's benefited for us. As you can imagine, Portland market for security is very demanding. And we've had to really do a lot of recruiting but it's starting to pay off. We're doing a lot of advertising. We're working with our partners. TriMet's worked very well with our security partners.
I don't want to get too far in the weeds here, but do you work these people in pairs?
Generally speaking, yes. Yeah,
They are quite vulnerable, aren't they, at certain times?
they
of night?
can be. Yeah. Yeah, that's where the de-escalation training, cultural competency training that we've given for folks have helped them significantly work through some of the challenges that they see. As you can imagine, they see a lot of dysfunction that spill off the city sidewalks onto our system. And it's been pretty difficult for them, but we're doing good. I can honestly say our complaints are down and our appraisals are going up because people feel safer seeing our staff. out there.
Congratulations, keep up that work. Any other questions? I certainly appreciate, Pat, you coming, because I know I've had some conversations with Councilor Rio Campos. And, it's all about ridership and you got to keep ridership up. And it's all about safety
It is.
because, you got to feel safe, to get on and increase ridership. So, I'm pleased to hear what's going on, certainly the council here. I hope it can continue to grow and respond and adjust to what you see in your data. Then your data says that we got to have some funding here, that you're able to do that.
You know, I can honestly say I'm in public safety for 38 years now. I've been a customer, a rider. I've worked undercover on the system as an officer, as a detective. I've managed the police officers on the system, and now I oversee the security operations. I think I've got a variety of lenses on how the system works. I can honestly say that we are wholeheartedly supported by the general manager and the board of TriMet. My executive director, Andrew Wilson, who's also an East County person like myself, we value TriMet and what that brings to the community. We realize how important it is for people to have this opportunity to ride the system. Some people ride it out of necessity. Some people ride it because they believe in public transportation. We want to make it safe for everybody. And it's very reflective of the sidewalk. You know, you can have the most indigent person, or you can have somebody who's a millionaire riding the system. and it needs to be safe and welcoming. And I think we're making steps in that right direction. We're heavily invested in this. We're participating in a lot of panels and committees and work groups with the city, the county, and at the state level to try and make sure that this is safe, and working on some legislation to help us as well.
Good, good. Is there anything we can do with some of that legislation and you need some support, don't be shy about reaching out.
We know where
'Cause
you're at.
we got a lot of riders out here in the East County that need
Good.
those bus services and they needs to be safe.
I just wanted, before Greg goes, just want to give a quick shout out to Amparo because, I think she has done a tremendous job of ensuring that a diverse community has been heard and what is needed, especially I can attest to the East County community, ensuring that we aren't left out of the conversation. And so I think through a lot of those efforts and partnerships, we've been able to do open houses out here in East County and ensure that our citizens, East County has been heard and what the need is for riderships. And, I'm excited to hopefully soon, have the extension of bus 25, line 225 that goes Gleason 181st be extended all the way through the college up through Reynolds High School. So I am looking forward to that. And just another quick shout out to Amparo because she is amazing.
Thank you very much. We've had great support from them. And I'll throw out again, you're talking to an East County person right here. I don't live far from here and I grew up playing soccer right next door. So at a variety of places out here,
And you work with Gresham PD for
many years.
Just two quick questions.
Yes, sir.
I think they're quick. One, on the non-destination riders and identifying them, I imagine on light rail becomes somewhat easier, except your team hopping on, hopping off, going, I saw them a couple hours ago. Let's
Yeah.
have that chat.
Yeah.
But for your buses, your bus operators are, there's a lot to focus on. How do they identify? Is it like, gee, I don't think that person's left the seat for a couple hours. Do they call for someone
Yes.
to hop on like at a future stop and have that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you're exactly right. We have these same issues. Predominantly on the trains, just because there's less presence from, we have an operator in a cab. So it's a little bit easier for the bus operator to notify us earlier and we can help get somebody off that is really not intending to go anywhere other than just ride the system. For the trains, that's been one of our challenges, and we've worked with local law enforcement either in Gresham or out in Hillsborough, Beaverton. El Monica's on the west side is one of our rail yards, and then Ruby Junction in Gresham. And so one of the things that we're trying to do is for those who are just truly have no destination intended, to try and help them get off early, before they get out to Gresham, before they get out to Beaverton, where there's a lack of services. And a lot of times the social services services are not open late at night. And so we're trying to do that near Rose Quarter, near the Motor Center, where there's a lot more services. And before they go through the tunnel on the west side and before they get out to Gateway on the
And
east
then
side.
my last question is, you showed some good statistics of declining the last couple of years. And, myself, I'm sure others kind of put stuff in a box. There's pre-COVID time where everything was sunshine and daisies, and then there's post-COVID time. I'm just wondering, you don't have to answer it now, but how do your stats compare to, now compared to like 20, when I think people have the rose-colored glasses of how things were, and what can we do to help spread the message that TriMet is getting safer. It is safe, it's getting safer, and it's an okay system, a good system to use.
Yeah, another good question. I think it's not safe to say that our statistics can be compared to the ones in pre-COVID, just because we had different systems in place. We had a much more robust transit system or transit police system where we relied on the crime stats, which are two totally different things. I can't emphasize that enough. If you're the victim of a car prowl or you're the victim of an assault, you're not going to call TriMet. You're going to call the police if you've had something stolen, as opposed to we don't have law enforcement is readily available now, and law enforcement is triaging so many other things. you go right into the queue of all the other calls in. If, for example, if you're in Multnomah County through BOEC, Bureau of Emergency Communications. So that's where this security software is going to be a big shot in the arm for us now to be able to really vet what are our problems and how to get the resources that are appropriate.
So the messaging would really be, look at what we've done and look at where we're heading. Is that kind of the
That
messaging?
absolutely, we're headed in the right direction. We've been recognized by the American Public Transportation Association. We won a gold standard award last year. We've traveled to a number of cities across the nation. We're being recognized for some of our programs. A lot of cities and transit agencies have very similar programs. But what I think makes TriMet unique is that we are very tightly networked in this community. There's a number of us working in this current program that have experience in public safety, have experience in outreach where we have established connections with service providers where we've been able to make that connection early on. And again, we're invested in the community by participating in a lot of work groups. I'm on a board down at Pioneer Square, participating in a tabletop exercise downtown with 30 other people this morning from the city, the county, and local businesses downtown. So we are heavily invested in the success of this community.
Thank you. If there's no more questions, that's a nice presentation, and certainly I learned a bunch from what you're doing now.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
More to come.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thanks. And I want to recognize Councilor Rio Campos too for his volunteer work with TriMet. He's involved in it and he's a voice from East
Thank you very
County.
much.
So
Thank you very much. I would like to offer to Amparo if she has anything else to add on the outreach efforts that we've provided.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Pat, and thank you to all of you for allowing us to come and provide the information on the work that we have been doing. I think you covered pretty much everything as it relates to the safety components on the system. We are always happy to come out and answer questions and provide you with the information that you need so that you can share that information with the constituents that you work with. We definitely want to make sure that when folks see something that they know that there's someone that they can call. And we're making sure that all of that information is also available in other languages because we recognize that folks need the information in languages other than English. So thank you all for the work that you do and thank you for having us here.
Amparo, I apologize for not speaking to you first. I didn't realize that we had you virtual there. So thank you for being here and the work you're doing out here in East County too.
Thank you so much. No apologies necessary. I really, truly understand. I didn't put on my camera, and so that was probably part of the issue. But thank you all again so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat. And again, nice to have you. And I'll extend a invitation that if you want to come back out in a year or sooner, but but we'd certainly like to continue this dialogue with you.
Absolutely. We look forward to it. I'm really proud of the programs we've worked on. Amparo is a great example of so many wonderful people that are really invested in this public transportation. It cannot thrive without public.
Absolutely. That is absolutely true. Thank you very much.
Thank you much.
Next item on our agenda is our discussion tonight on the park restroom and construction and how that's coming along. Erica, thanks. Okay, good night.
Right. Thank you, Mayor and councilors. So we were hoping to come to you with more than a discussion tonight, but that is okay. We'll say it's okay. As you guys know, we were hoping to, well, we still are hoping, we're very hopeful for this year, but it's part of the APP to get a new restroom in our park. The restroom that we have is getting, it is almost 20 years old right now. And last week we had an RFP bid opening. We are very excited. There's 6 bids that were put in. Unfortunately, the bids were a little high, so we can talk about that tonight. So our budget for this restroom was $550,000. And one of these bids was close to that amount, but we have actually already allocated almost 36,000 just to the design, when we signed a contract with Coble Creative, for that design. So right now we have about 514,000 left in the budget. And as you can see, most of our bids came in around $700,000. So we are looking to, again, it's up to you guys, kind of what we do going forward, but we're looking to re-put out an RFP this fall. Off season, so hopefully maybe we can get some more bids, we can get lower pricing that's actually within our budget, so we can get a new restroom.
Okay. Well, it is discussion, so I have a few questions to ask, and you guys will probably share some of those responses. Getting back to our budget, Coble Creative, remind me, at one point, they talked to us about design and build? Were they interested in possibly doing this project too, or was that?
I mean, this was they design it, we go out to build it, but it wasn't a design build
Right.
package. And one of the things that came up is when we got Coble's engineer's estimate, that was from a construction firm that they relationship with, that's who they utilized for that estimate, which was around 440,000. That same firm bid on this project with I think $160,000 increase to that amount. And so we reached out to Coble and said, help us understand why where these came from over the course of a couple months. A number of it came from various subs that changed their numbers. And I think those firms are still talking about why, it's only been a few months since we had their engineer's estimate to now what's changed. We're thinking, again, it's a more competitive construction season right now, summer, it's a lot more going on versus kind of an off season.
Well, and I knew we weren't looking at design build, but I knew there was some relationship there that Coble had with the construction, and we were getting some numbers from them. So that's, you've answered the question that we had the number, and the numbers changed when they actually when the bid went out. We didn't do any design changes. They had the same design. Okay.
Yep.
And what
I think they were just as surprised as we were, Coble
yeah,
was.
what company was that one?
Fulcrum.
Fulcrum. Okay. So they came in just a little bit higher. They knew
That was such a compliment.
But it was,
A little bit,
well, it's
a tidbit.
about 50,
Skipping a jump.
at extra zero.
I think I hope we learn a little bit more if we're going to have a chance to sit down and really look at why did that number jump to that extreme in a month and a half. I mean, you're asking the right questions. Again, relying on my memory here, these are somewhat module. We were looking at module.
We were looking at a prefab unit, correct? And that was coming in for a very comparable design, close to 800,000 without demolition.
The modules were.
Correct. Anywhere from about 7 and change to 800, depending on final amenities, fit and finish.
Okay.
On a plus side, the design review board approved the plans last night.
Yeah.
My question would be, I guess my assumption would be that right now during like the busy months, could present, you know, with more bids just because there are more projects. Are we sure that we're gonna get more bids in the fall and at a lower cost?
I mean, it's never a guarantee. I think we also may have some other firms we can reach out to let them know. I think early on, there was a lot of interest in this project, and I think other smaller firms went, it may not be worth. They're not necessarily local per se. They're a little further out. May not have been worth it if there's going to be a very competitive bidding environment, and that may change moving forward, especially getting more of an off season. But you can get things economically that may shift and change. That could either cause high inflation or material product shortages or cost increases, wonky things with labor. It's never a guarantee. It's also one of those, it's typically everything equal and off bid time is better. And that's how we end up doing a lot of our projects. We just kind of get them fit in there.
And Coble did ask Fulcrum for their opinion on that as well. Just haven't gotten the response.
I mean, personally, I think it'd be best to do it in the off season anyways,
Yeah.
just because then, you know, during the busier months, we're not having to scramble and get other types of facilities out there that
We had
could
that
result
conversation
into
too.
more cost and just.
And
all
in the
headache.
meantime, we know now we're going to need to do a bit of a freshening up just to make it serviceable, pleasant for the peak season, since we won't have a new one. So, you know, we'll make it pretty. We'll make it smell better.
One time we talked about being our own general on this.
I think that could still be on the table depending on how the bids come in the second round, because our understanding is if you've gone out for bid twice, a few more options open up for kind of more direct soliciting, direct negotiation. And Jeff, correct me if I have that incorrect.
No, that's correct.
So going out twice, then we can,
Right. I mean, one of the options is to, particularly if you have a second unsuccessful round of bidding, is to have the board acting as the contract review board approve direct negotiations.
Okay.
So, and that may be what you have to do.
yeah.
But the fact that you have tried twice to go out in a competitive process and work
Right.
is a justification.
So we got to do, we would, that's another reason to go out in another time here. And I just put one, well, I'll leave that for further discussion at some point if we, when we get a chance to look at the other bids, or when we go out again. I'm not interested myself, I'll just express this, of reducing the scope of this project. I think if we're going to build it, it needs to be built the way that we've looked at it. So somebody's going to have to sharpen their pencil here out of these bidders, or there could be new bidders that are out there. Can you, and again, I can't, I don't recall if this is, we can't at this point begin any conversation with one of these bidders and begin to talk about this project. That's not, I don't believe that's legal or.
Not quite. But we are reaching out to Coble because they did provide the engineer's estimate. Just happens that firm also did bid on it. So it's a little different because we're not connecting directly with Fulcrum. We're connecting with our architect.
And you said that Coble has not responded yet, or
They responded to some, not to everything we've asked them, because they're going back and forth with Fulcrum.
yeah. And you know, the reality is they may have lost a sub that was bidding something and bidded another job, and that's took them off of this possibility too.
I guess I have, if in the second round, we get similar numbers to this, you know, do we have the ability to, at that time, take action to increase the budget for the project?
I mean, the short answer is yes. The bigger answer is what's, this project's overall value relative to cost. Also, you know, that if we can talk to other firms, we might be able to negotiate differently, figure some things out, swap some stuff, or, you know, maybe there's some unknowns that worry them that we can otherwise get resolved in another manner. But yeah, I mean, short answer is yes. And I'd also preface, you know, what's, again, you know, we got a budget of about 515 left for this. That's a lot of money. You don't want to be one of those $1 million restrooms we hear about.
Because I'm just looking at like the lowest one from, you know, from what's left over to what they bid is about 40,000.
Right. And I think,
Kind of
yeah,
looking at something similar, close to that range, saying, okay, could we just say, okay, let's not exceed, you know, 560,000, just to kind of give some buffer, understanding that some, you know, fluctuation in costs or whatever.
I think we
guess
can
would know.
explore that kind of after we bid it again and just see where things land and where future conversations go.
And that's, it looks like we probably need to be, because that would open up some possibilities on the scope of the project, not in the design, but what we might be able to do in-house that can reduce the cost of this. You know, without you putting on your overalls, Greg.
Hey, you know, knocking that down could be powerful team building. Yeah.
That's right. Well,
But that could be an unknown is.
Very bad for your workers' comp rates.
I feel my back hurting.
Tree.
Yeah, I can feel it already.
But, you know,
Yeah.
we
Risk management.
do a separate contract to just knock that down and uncover these existing utilities. That may give some better assurances to the subs of the condition of the underground utilities.
Right.
That I don't know how big or little that is or isn't, but that could help answer that question if that comes.
Well, I hear a direction towards, let's go with the bids, going another round of bids in the fall. Okay, we all good?
Sounds good.
Green light on that one.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda here is the purchasing policy. And this is coming back to us. But no action tonight. No, yes, there is action. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, councilors. You guys saw this at your meeting 2 weeks ago. We went through it. There was a staff report. This is in response to some changes that were made in the 2023 legislative session, amending the Oregon Public Contracting Code, allowing for higher levels for both intermediate procurement and formal RFP processes. So we reviewed the proposed limits, or the limits we currently had. Said that it really hadn't been updated. We also reviewed our own internal processes, what can be approved by city manager, director level. Brought that all to you. I said, when can we see this again? And I said, whenever Becky lets me bring it. That night is tonight.
Yes, well, that's what we like to see.
It's a quick turnaround. I'm here to take any questions that you guys might have had since you saw it yesterday.
Any questions from council on this?
I think it just empowers our staff, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No questions? I have a motion.
I move to adopt resolution 9-2024, a resolution approving changes to the purchasing policy and increasing the procurement limits.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Nicely done.
Well, also coming back to you now is the APP for adoption. It's a meeting of deja vu. There you are. All right, so this is the adoption consideration of our 2024-2025 annual performance plan. Just to do a quick recap, this plan is essentially sets goals for myself as well as the executive team. It's overseen by you all, tracked monthly. It's designed to consume, roughly 10% of time that it doesn't fill other daily operational needs. And so it helps pushes us towards the advancement of the 8 city goals and the elevation of our community. This gets discussed robustly at our retreat, and we presented this draft one to you at your March 12th meeting. I just want to point out that this year, a number of the items could have fallen under almost any one of the goals. We just kind of picked the one that fit the best. It was like a highlight goal. And so I'm going to go over these really quickly just again, so you remember them and people may be hearing it for the first time, get a better understanding of it. I'll have a couple updates for you. For the public health and safety training, again, that's partnering with, county health, sheriff's office, and doing, self-awareness training, maybe Narcan training. It's again, working with those public health and safety providers and bringing trainings here so our community members can train themselves and maybe go home, train the family members and others. Community conversations. This is I'll call it a good news, bad news update. Because the idea was to partner with East County Resolutions, which is housed out of Gresham, that does a lot of dispute resolution trainings. And they've done community conversations by partnering with other subject matter experts to bring people together and have what could be considered difficult conversations, but done in a positive way that everyone leaves with a better understanding of the issue. I presented that to them at the board meeting last week, and they loved the concept, loved the idea. And I found out yesterday Gresham is killing that program in their upcoming budget. And so that'll be a separate conversation to revive and keep that program. So if it can stay alive, we've got a great partner already on board to roll these out throughout the next fiscal year. Goal 2, community emergency management resilience. That's everything from maybe doing like a CERT type training to as simplistic but complicated as helping people get AC units, for example, to help weather the heat. And we have an update. Senate Bill 1529 was passed at the legislative session. And one of the things that says to distribute air conditioners and air filters in anticipation of hot weather and heat events. And we just so happen to be the hottest city in Multnomah County, I think both figuratively as well as actually. And so I think utilizing some of this can help gain us some of these tools and resources for our vulnerable community members and really do a robust process with that.
I think that was a unanimous vote too.
We have our regional, sorry, I didn't mean to really disrupt it. Our regional fire service discussions, those are continuing and will be ongoing. For goal 3, we have our utility rate adjustment communications that we talked about your last meeting, and you'll see the start of that in your newsletter, as well as upcoming workshops and events. Our CDB Park project, which gets presented to the CDBG board tomorrow, and that's enhancing the picnic areas, both in the Far Grove and the Splash Pad Grove, adding ADA access between here and the rest of the park, as well as some benches by the splash pad for better seating.
Greg, I had a question about that one.
Yes.
Is that grant specific to those items?
Yes.
Okay.
When we pitch the grant, it's a specific project. We have our wetlands park that we still have, the grants out. One grant has been, the full grant submitted under consideration. The other one's due, I think, week after next. Those are both larger metro ones than our metro local share. So all in told, and you'll see this your budget on Thursday, it's about 950,000 of resource to build out that wetland park. And then our main trunk line design, and then starting to look at funding alternatives once we get the design parameters. Nothing specific under goal 4 for our long-term financial stability and economic vitality, but you've seen already some of these mesh with that. For goal 5, we have our compensation analysis that then rolls right into our collective bargaining with our union. Goal 6, we've got our legislative work and priorities. Again, those are looking at the change property ratio in terms of property tax reform. And Seth is doing just a magnificent job connecting with a coalition of some very powerful people around the region. And we're continuing to have those meetings and explain the concept and gain letting legislators and other stakeholders get a better understanding of both the issue and potential fix. For those of you who were here during our DEI training a couple of years ago, Dr. Karen Gibson, that did her work in Albina and things, we've actually going to connect with her and help tell that narrative as well of look at that part of Portland now and what it's paying in taxes. versus what other people are and how that's been gentrified. And so we're really capturing the whole essence of the change property ratio in this effort. And then we have our Port of Portland East County Economic Development Forums. We have our kickoff meeting, I think, next week. And then that'll roll throughout the summer. Not sure what the outcome is yet. That's still being crafted kind of by all the stakeholders of what we hope to gain out of this. But certainly bringing in powerful people to talk about East County and what we can do better is not a bad thing. No specific projects for Goal 7, but again, the wetland park, if we do get the grant funding and build that certainly is a very robust environmental stewardship project. And then last but certainly not least are those community civics and community education courses that again will mostly just run in-house, help promote, advertise, and we've connected with the natural leaders on that to do, some in Spanish, some in English, and everything from what does a city do, especially Wood Village, to, gee, how does that relate to the county or stuff at the state level and how to get involved and engage at those levels. So real quick rundown of the APP, and this is how it flushes out timelines that's in your packet. What questions can I answer?
Questions? Well, if there's no questions, Greg, I mean, this is consistent with what we've been talking about with some slight changes, and you're surprised in the last 24 hours that there's no longer a East County resolution.
Hopefully there will be.
Yeah.
Hopefully there will be.
And we may have conversations about that too later. So it's your turn to make a motion.
Oh.
'Cause Dara has to say-
I move to approve resolution 10-2024 adopting 2024-25 annual performance plan.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
I didn't want her hogging all those motions, because
Why didn't you let me?
uh,
Just want to be a little
Not-
busy tonight.
yes. All right. Do we, no, I'm gonna get my. All right. We can, Public Works.
Gonna make sure we got the right presentation up here. Letting you peek behind the curtain. That one?
Yeah. Again. Mayor, councilors. All right, let's go over what happened last month. And of this. Okay. I'll try. So in the month of March, we finally, after a couple years, finished up our SCADA project. It is finalized. Yay! Everybody is loving it. It's very easy, user-friendly. So we were very excited. Our Shea lift station, we've been doing a lot of upgrades and repairs to that over the last few months. And we actually last month got the new hood cover, which you can see at the bottom right corner. A new heater was put in and then some additional lighting. So before, when staff was there in the middle of the night doing any repairs, they had flashlights and headlamps. So we'll have a little more for them now. Our 238th lift station actually, I'm still not sure what it, some mechanism of plastic got stuck in one of our pumps that came down the line. So we did some repairs on that pump. Everything is good now and functioning as it should. And then we also installed our flow monitoring. So we have 3 locations on the trunk line at the diversion by the byway, down at our partial station, which will really be nice because it can kind of just double check what we already have. And then there's a manhole right before 223rd Avenue, so we can capture everything that Fairview dumps into that trunk line. And that will be installed and stay in until September. I think it's kind of towards the end of September. We'll have it for 6 months. Get dry weather, wet weather. So that was nice. And then down at the ops facility, we actually have a rain gauge too to track everything. So, and we have an online system that we can look at all of this and track it. City Hall and Civic Center was pressure washed. You guys may have noticed it was right before our Easter event, so that was nice. On April or March 9th was the ivy removal day. Don't forget, we have another event happening this Saturday. If you guys want to show up and volunteer.
It's at 9 a.m. You can meet here and then we'll go over as a group to, it's in the Hawthorne part of the park, or you could just show up to the Hawthorne part of the park shortly after 9. It's about 9 to 11 or noon.
I believe so. Yeah.
And we'll have all the supplies, gloves, clippers, all that good stuff, and foodstuffs.
Best part. We also installed our 4th Big Belly garbage can. So there is one by the byway, one by 230 at the southeast corner of 238th and Halsey. Bottle drop, we added one on 230th and 231st Court. There's a little pathway that goes down through there. So there's one through there. We removed the 2 garbage cans that have been there that kind of get moved around sometimes. So now we can track that. And then we also had a citizen call in about speeding on holidays. So we actually put out our tracker on Holiday Street to see what was going on. We get about 108 cars every single day through Holiday. So it seems like it's a lot of residential citizens who are living in here. And we noticed there were some kind of outliers. We do have a few high speeders, but on average, the speed was below the speed limit. Of the speeders, though, it seemed it was about 30 miles per hour of everybody who did speed. And we noticed that between the hours of 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. and then from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. were kind of our high times of just traffic, and between 25, 30 miles an hour. So we're actually going to look at doing some low impact, hopefully some high efficiency, something on that road to try to get people to slow down around those curves and make it a little safer for the citizens. So
We're investigating this, I think it's called optical striping.
Yeah.
And it's basically tricking the motorist to thinking that they're going faster than they really are. So they start slowing down. So instead of using speed humps or bump outs, you're using paint to create like a visual illusion of you're going faster than you are. So you start slowing down. And that is regulated by the MUTCD and approved by them. So
That'd be interesting. See,
Quick question. So if that seems effective, would that be a method to be used in other residential areas?
I think certainly on Wood Village owned streets, I think that'd be easier to deploy than, say, for example, a county right away.
that'll be an interesting,
Little experiment.
to see how it works. Did you mention the Big Belly that is on the corner of Rata Road?
that is this month, Mayor.
Oh, okay.
But yes, we do.
Hey, whiz,
Our very last Big Belly was put on Arata and Wood
Yeah.
Village Boulevard.
There's should be a celebration.
I know.
Rata Road. What do you think?
Yeah, I was like, you didn't mention Mike up there.
I know. They ignored us again.
On
3 of us.
On that one, so Erica let me know that she monitors various, community chat forums and things, and it's already had several likes and a comment of, why doesn't Fairview do this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's
That could be a shared. No.
Erica, more?
There's more,
Okay.
a little more. If I can. There we go. Well, you're just, oh, it moved for us. I was gonna say, you're gonna have to guess at what it says. For our permits, we had 16 permits issued, 17 inspections were completed. Under code compliance, we had 64 new cases and 54 were closed. And then the big hot ticket item tonight in our water system, our system loss is 8.3%.
Nice.
So we're under the 10%.
Way to go.
So we're hoping it keeps up.
Yeah, send that note to John. He couldn't get it. He couldn't get it down there.
It was up actually before he left, so.
Yeah.
We found the problem.
Yeah,
No.
problem solved.
Well, that is all we have. So any questions?
Questions, anybody?
I just have, in the staff report, the byway and some of the businesses, how close are we to get some of these open or what's
Gee,
the
what a
process?
timely question, given I just came from there late to the meeting.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, so there are two businesses with completed permits. One is well underway under construction. That's Two Amigos. That's where I came from. I'll get to that in a minute. The other is the sushi place. We're just kind of waiting on them to do the work. The Byway Market had planned, they turned in plans. They have comments back. We're waiting for their corrections. And I believe we're waiting on corrections for, I'll call it an aquarium shop. I think we're waiting for them to resubmit. And then I believe it's the same for Kai Coffee. That's going to be on that west end cap. I believe they turned everything in. I think we've got comments back. I'm not 100% on that one, but we certainly have two. So the east end cap, Two Amigos, and then the sushi place, that's the standalone. They're either building or it's on their time to build. And then for Two Amigos, there's a question around some plumbing concerns and plumbing issues. So the owner about a year ago did what was called owner improvements to the shelves to make them a little more attractive to some tenants. And so they, did a best guess of where appliances and various sinks and things would go. And unfortunately, if that tenant had flip-flopped where they put stuff, there wouldn't have been an issue, but they didn't. And so we're out there with myself, Mary, our building official, the inspector, the property manager, and the business owner. And we came up with a very nice, elegant solution of just, you can redo some piping here and there to change which drain stuff goes to. It was a matter of too many things draining to a smaller drain. But luckily there are some other drain options nearby that just rerouting some things would resolve that issue. So instead of cutting open the floor and redoing all the floor drains, we can just reroute some things. And then they have, some various other permits still need to be finalized, some other work to be done. To say a lay person walking in, it looks close. I think it is. I think it's a matter of how quickly can they get their contractors in to do the work. Is the work done to code, to the plan? I imagine, I would like to think, June or July time, that one should be open if everything lines up nicely. Again, for the sushi place, it's kind of on their schedule and we don't know what that is. And then for the other ones, certainly I think Kai Coffee, once they get their permits, I think they're getting things lined up to move relatively quickly. But it's probably going to be, I think, September before you really see multiple of those storefronts open is my best guess. But I think we'll start to see Two Amigos, call it early summer.
Greg, this is not hanging up within our organization here. Is Gresham working through the resubmittals?
Yes.
How slow is it? Is that,
It's
how
not.
quick is that?
If for new plan sets, I think we're getting them back generally 2 to 3 weeks. That's total weeks, not just, figure 10 to 15 days for most things. There's a few that are specialty depending on what they're doing, maybe a bit longer. And we tell people, like, you can also do some deferred submittals so you can get going on some of the more simplistic things while some of the more complex mechanicals are, in the works and things.
That does not sound like it's too long. I mean, that sounds like it's a pretty quick
It's
turnaround.
pretty quick. And especially when you think, and I'm not going to throw other cities or agencies under the bus. I think if you just compare just general timelines to places around the regions, we're pretty quick. And you know, the thing that we provide is that service that if there are questions or things do come up, I mean, again, I was out there to see it, to help not craft a solution, but because I don't know the code, but to provide that support of I'm hearing what the business owner's hearing, what the inspector's saying, and what a solution is. So when we craft a response, everyone's on the same page, and it's going back to the property owner, the business owner, the contractors. That is what we provide, is essentially, you know, a gold standard service of if you've got a business owner, you probably run your business really, really well. You are not a contractor. So you're relying on your team that was put together to do the right stuff. And if things come up, we can help walk the business owner through what they need to tell the contractor to do.
Yeah, it hangs up often when they submit the plans, there's some revisions, they get sent back to them. And then they don't have a sub, or they are waiting for something else. And then it comes back. So I know that we move that stuff through here.
And, you know, Gresham's a great partner in their building program. We haven't had the building official out there, and we hadn't seen him in a while, but he knew what this one meant to both the property owner, the business owner, and us. And so he popped on over to just, again, hear everything the same way that we do. And so I can't say enough good things about the team at the Gresham Building and Inspection
Well, that's
Department.
good to hear. Any other questions? All right, Erica.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, here he comes, Director of Finance.
Mr. Mayor, councilors. Included in your packet was the Finance Director's report ending March 31st. The only comment I'll have is we are monitoring our business income taxes. Those are coming in a little less than we had anticipated for this point in the year. The problem with those is they're very volatile. We've had some months that we've gotten $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 in 1 month. It's just hard to know. What I can say is Multnomah County releases projections and kind of year-to-date statistics, and they're showing that they've collected as much money as they had last year. It just might not have gotten distributed to us through the process that they use. So if we do end up missing on that, it probably is going to end up being a timing issue that will end up making it back up next year, similar to what happened with COVID-19. There's delayed 3 to 6 months, a lot of the tax returns, revenue distribution. So other than that, I didn't have any comments on the finance on the report included. I did want to mention that we had the investment policy that you guys took a look at was presented to the Oregon Short-Term Fund Board this morning, where they provided some comments and review and generally accepted what we had with some minor revisions. So that'll be coming back to you for approval at a future board meeting.
Thank you for the update.
When Becky lets me back up here.
Rates are still good with the state pool, investment pool.
Yep, they've flattened out over the last few months.
Okay.
And doing some more investigation. The Oregon State Treasury puts together an intermediate fund. So we invest in the local government pool, which is a short-term fund. Their intermediate fund is similar to what we would attempt to do, where they buy longer-term securities, bonds to try and lock in some rates over a longer term period. So we're doing some investigating. It might be easier for us to do that than to go out and do it ourselves with a financial advisor, or if that's a similar outcome to what we're trying to do. Doing some investigation on that. So
Good. Need about 50 grand that more than what we thought we'd get. Then we can do
for
those
the
rest.
rest, yeah. An interest.
You go find some place to.
You're gonna flush the money down the carpet.
I knew when you said sharpen your pencils, you weren't talking about the contract.
Okay. Any questions there?
No, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Seth. Greg?
Thank you again. Just a couple items. One, I want to start with an update on our scholarship. Council President Rios Campos, you weren't here for that discussion, but we certainly provided your comments and thoughts, and we had a very robust roundtable of a lot of stuff, so much that Carol and I spent about 3 hours back and forth of what do we do with this. So what we did is we packaged as much as we could and heard into this round, knowing again, next year, there's going to be some more tweaks, some more about modifications, but I think we got it pretty good for this round. So in terms of, this is the application. Nothing's changed. We got our little checklist. They can make sure they got all the components, their contact information. What we did do when it gets to the essay portion, we changed the wording from instead of or less, we put in about 250 words. So then they, no, we kind of want some substance. We know there's some back and forth of, should it be just written only, or what about video, audio? We did go ahead and make that open in that we said, please answer all 4 questions, about 250 words. Alternatively, submit an audio or visual recording of yourself responding to each question about 250 words. So we left it open if it fits that person's perspective or the articulation. And then on question 2, instead of wordsmithing everything, so there was discussion of, are you proud of something or have you accomplished something? And it was always, what have you done? And in thinking about that a little deeper and where some people may be at, maybe they felt like they haven't actually accomplished or is proud of anything. So what we've done is, what have you done for yourself, your family, or community that you're most proud of or gave a sense of accomplishment, and why? Or respond with what you hope to accomplish or be proud of in the future. So we're kind of giving it an either or, like maybe they don't quite have the self-esteem or confidence to think they've done great things, even though we know they have. So we gave them an option to, what do you want to do? What do you want to be proud of? And then the last 2 parts are optional, which was a letter of recommendation. And we give some examples of who that, a teacher, mentor, coach, etc. We also then created a simple recommendation form that they can use if they want, or just, maybe they already have a letter. So it's something, hey, would you mind filling this out for me? They could give it to their person. And then we called it artifacts.
Artifact, there you go.
Which again, it's, optional. You can provide the review committee, artifacts, artwork, essay, musical compositions, poems, photographies, articles, videos that illustrate your life, passion, or goals in your future. So again, something that maybe can supplement a written or verbal response with who they are, what they want to do. We polled the scoring matrix because again, the thought, maybe some people think, oh, I'm not going to be able to fit, I'm not going to rank high. So we just pulled that off for the applicant to see.
Yeah.
And lastly, we did make it explicitly state that if you're accepted as a finalist, there will be a personal interview. And then we'll work with that committee on what those questions and processes will be. So again, we know this isn't perfect yet, but hopefully it gets closer to that conversation. I know, Council President, you didn't have a chance to weigh in, and so just want to pause, see if there's other thoughts, comments.
On just that last piece where you said a personal interview, I would suggest saying a in-person meeting, because again, interviews sometimes, and
Can be
again,
intimidating.
yes, and I understand the importance and the professionalism we want with this, but again, just looking at our community, having them feel comfortable is what we're hoping that they feel from this. So saying, an in-person meeting, I think kind of brings that.
Love that.
Exactly. And then kind of on the second question, when we were talking about accomplishments, again, not to wordsmith, and again, we could maybe for next year, maybe include, shared and lived experience, because I think when you frame it that way, folks can then start saying, oh, what have I lived through, an experience that I can share that could probably fit within this instead
So that I grew from, that I learned.
Yeah. Or just, something that, so I think, again, just using different type of verbiage can help just spark their
elicit different
to
thoughts.
get it going and things of that nature. So
I think that could also be another question too, because that's
And maybe
very
that's maybe an
involved in-
interview question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that's like really in depth. You
Mhm.
know, someone can really elaborate on
Well, yeah.
a topic like that.
Probably
And we will, whatever questions
Right.
we come up with, we will send those to them in advance. So they
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
some advance time to think.
Well, let's make a
That
note
is
of
an
that,
important
that we,
question.
that type of opportunity for
be the in-person
somebody could
meeting.
share. Yes.
Yeah. Because I think that's, you can relay, you know, the experience better in person.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, in a form of, like, you know, typing it up.
Good, right?
Yeah, because again, you know, just personally just saying, you know, looking at things that you overcome, sometimes you don't look at it as achievements. You just
Mhm.
like, this is day-to-day
This
stuff.
is my
Yeah.
life.
And so, yeah, exactly. This is just what what I live. But again, that can be inspiring on its own. Just,
Uh-huh.
again, they're just not looking at through that lens.
Mhm.
So.
Right.
Because for them, that's just day to day.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's great.
Well, Greg, staff, unless there's more questions,
No.
No,
it
the-
did a pretty good
just-
job of sorting that out.
Yeah.
And again, and like we all know, this document is a living document and we use it and we find you gotta.
I'm looking forward to our debrief on what to do next year.
Yeah, and you'll be in touch with Counselor Dan and I about
Questions and things.
yeah, and getting some meetings.
Last question, when are we hoping this kind of goes live?
So it's going to go live May 1st.
May 1st.
It's going to be, you know, a May deadline. So May 1st, I think it's actually May 30th is the deadline. We also understand that next year it'll be probably more of an April timeline, a little earlier to match up probably with other scholarships that are going around. So as people are thinking about it. And it will be in the newsletter too. So we'll do the whole blast when it's open. So we still have some time to make these tweaks.
Awesome.
So again, you know, you got neighbors and or others, you know, talk it up.
So a couple more things. So we, you know, Counselor Amend, you know, she sent her note that she did resign from the council. So she will be missed. And as that, we are advertising that vacancy in the May newsletter. Again, it's going to be a May application period with then interviews to be at your June 11th meeting for those that apply. And that's for the remainder of the term, which is actually just the remainder of this year because that position was up for the election. So if someone may be interested in running, this could be a good, you know, little
Sure.
test fit or test run.
Yeah.
So just know that's happening. And related to that, she was our planning commission liaison. So we need someone else to fill that role. And I'm looking at Counselor Tan, who doesn't have a liaison role.
I think we all were.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
of course.
Yeah, for jumping at that chance.
Most definitely.
Uh,
I've always told.
Good.
I'll connect with you later and we'll talk about what
Okay,
that
no
really
worries. Yeah,
means.
I'm okay with it.
There's 4 meetings a month. Yeah, on the sketch. So I'm just. Yeah.
Wow. Ooh, that was I know that look.
That was one of them looks. Anything else?
So that's all I have under my report this evening.
We,
Happy to answer questions.
yeah, anybody questions for Greg? We are signing, I picked up a card for Counselor Amend and we're signing it. And obviously, Counselor Clark isn't here. Becky, could you call him and just give him a chance to sign it? I mean, I don't.
He'll be here Thursday.
Thursday.
So if we can wait till
We
then,
can
we
wait
could
till
have
then.
him.
Okay. Well, then,
Well, that was my other thing. We're meeting on Thursday for budget. We're having Joy
Budget.
Teriyaki.
what do we have?
Joy
Oh,
Teriyaki.
good. All right. 5:15.
Correct.
Okay.
And Counselor Tan will miss it and she will be missed.
Oh,
I am going to Girls Inc., Girls Night Out.
oh,
Do
no.
do you know what Girls Inc. is?
I think it's, yeah. The professional
It's part-
organization.
Yes, it's a nonprofit for they empower
help
women, I mean, young teens to get to kind of, they all have different goals and achieve them and
Good for
yeah.
you. Yeah. Well, keep empowering.
They actually they've come out to a couple of the schools within the Reynolds or the east side. And my daughter participated.
In the Sun program.
Work on
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
yeah, so it's really great.
Sounds like a great work to volunteer for. I guess that's it, Greg.
Yeah, my only other comment is I did ask Jeff to talk about what constitutes a quorum, but
Yeah.
since we don't have all of our counselors here, I wonder if we want to push that to another time.
Yeah.
And
Why don't we wait?
Jeff could talk about home rule.
Yeah, okay, well, my one task for the evening and I don't have to do it, so that's good.
No.
I'll have to bring, that will give me a chance to update my public
Oh,
meeting.
well, I know you need all those slides to talk about this.
I don't use PowerPoint, it always curses me.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, I'm happy to do it in a future meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, let's see, Mayor, council comments, anybody? We're gonna go into exec session in a minute, but
Plays fundraiser, May 9th at 6 PM at the Fairview Food Plaza.
I'm sorry,
That's
what?
fine.
Can you say it one more time?
The Plays fundraiser
Uh-huh.
is May 9th, Thursday, May 9th at the Fairview Food Plaza at 6. Free food. Free food.
A buffet for her birthday.
It'll be a buffet.
it's a buffet.
Well,
And you don't
take her
have to
there
pay.
for appetizers.
Why don't we get some balloons? We'll put some balloons up.
We'll get her a cake.
You know what? And that's when I got sworn in was on her birthday last year.
I remember.
Was it?
That's the day for everything.
The only comment I have is Thursday, myself and the other two mayors, Mayor Lauer and Mayor Kudna from Fairview are going down to meet with Commissioner Sharon Marin, County Commissioner, and talk about our three-city proposal. And she reached out to us. And the three-city proposal is Fairview, Wood Village, and Troutdale submitted a proposal asking for money from the county that we would use for our homeless services and help us develop. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, but some kind of a program here between our three cities and that would serve our homeless population. So I'll report back on how that goes. I'm certainly, there's not going to be any commitment, but it is budget time. And so it's an opportune time for us to get a commissioner in a face-to-face conversation.
And the county's budget does get released on Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what time,
Yeah.
but it'll be something that's on the calendar.
And they, and again, they get that, and then there's always some trade-offs and they are,
The
Yeah,
process.
making deals.
Is this just with Commissioner Marion?
It's just, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just with her. And again, she reached out to us. She had heard that we were looking for this. And so, and this was also CC'd to Commissioner Stegman and Greg Gill.
The chair.
Chair, yeah. Okay, I'm going to adjourn this unless there's anything else that I'm